Asia doesn't have one racism problem. It has 7 of them, stacked on top of each other. And they don't look anything like your average "we have to celebrate our differences" commercial. Join me on this adventure to discover the most intricate and creative ways in which Asians unleash the inner racism. It will be like a Zen journey, but with less spiritual things and more chong-chong. Level 1 is the version everyone agrees is racist. Level 7 is the version nobody on this continent will say out loud, including me, but we will get to that, so stay tuned. Most Westerners tap out at level 2. Most Asians pretend level 6 doesn't exist. And one of you watching is going to get personally insulted somewhere between here and the end, and I want you to notice the exact level it happens. That's the level your family lives at.
What'd I say?
Let me grab my coffee. Let's start at the bottom. Level 1 is classic racism. It's the pulled back eyes thing at the Korean barbecue. It's ching chong on a school bus. It's "where are you really from?" from a guy named Braden who has never been further east than Las Vegas. It's an Indian software engineer in Tokyo being told his English is incredibly good, which is awkward because English is the only language he speaks. Just in America, 6 in 10 Asian Americans have reported experiencing some sort of racism, which I don't want to get too deep right now because I just made a video about it. Go check it out, it is really funny. My uncle once did the eye poll at a family dinner about a Korean colleague, and I laughed because he had just paid for the food, and I had not yet developed a personality. Level 1 is the version of racism that either is made by someone without charisma and is so offensive everyone wanna exclude them out, or is instead too charismatic. It always makes you laugh.
Food, and I say to the guy, I would like to have, and before I even finish my sentence, he says, "The chicken!"
As long as nobody is shouting slurs at a bus stop, the system is working as intended. The system being a polite agreement that we only count racism when it rhymes. Past the joke, the next level doesn't sound like racism at all. It sounds like a compliment. You're so well spoken. Asian girls are just naturally beautiful. Indians are the smartest immigrants in America. You guys are so good at math. Welcome to level 2, the racism that arrives gift wrapped. The original model minority piece was a January 1966 New York Times Magazine article by a sociologist named William Peterson, holding up Japanese Americans as a success story. Officially, it was a compliment. Operationally, it was an HR memo to a different department. The Asians were not the audience. The Asians were the prop in someone else's argument. Inside Asia, this level runs at industrial scale. Skin whitening creams in Seoul, glutathione drips in Manila, Fair and Lovely in Mumbai, which had to rebrand to Glow and Lovely in 2020 after 45 years of telling brown girls their face was a customer service issue. Surveys across South Korea, India, and the Philippines put women's usage of skin lightening products somewhere between 40 and 60%. The marketing department calls it self-care. Dermatologists call it something else. This is racism that hands you a mirror and sells you the cream that goes with it. Half my Asian relatives operate this level fluently and would die before naming it. They just call it looking nice for the wedding. When the compliment becomes a checklist, you've left level 2 behind. Level 3 is where racism stops being a thought and becomes a filter on a website. Shaadi.com, India's largest matrimonial platform, had a literal skin tone slider on its search page for 20 years. 20 years. Nobody from inside India petitioned to remove it. Then in May 2020, an Indian-Canadian woman named Hedal Lakhani started a change.org petition. It hit 1,500 signatures. Within 3 weeks, Shaadi quietly removed the filter, the same quick and quiet way you erase your search history.
You can visit us.
In South Korea, Gangnam plastic surgery clinics will show you a chart. Double eyelid, V-line jaw, higher nose bridge, the ideal face. It is not subtle which face that is. It's the one that photographs well next to a Western celebrity. South Korea now performs more cosmetic surgeries per capita than any country on earth. The marketing calls it confidence. The cardiologist who treated your last anxiety attack would call it something else. In China, the term Sheng Niu, leftover women, was used by the All China Women's Federation in 2007 to describe unmarried women over 27. The Federation, officially, as a campaign. I would like to tell you, I have never set a filter on a dating app. I have set a filter on a dating app. So have you. We don't talk about ours either. That's how level 3 works. It's a private spreadsheet of who you're allowed to like, and the spreadsheet is invisible because nobody else can see your screen. If you're watching this thinking your preferences are just preferences, consider that you might just be defending level 3 in real time. Take a sip of your own coffee. The preference is private. The next level is not. Level 4 is where racism leaves your head and shows up on a lease. In Tokyo, the Ministry of Justice's 2017 Foreign Residents Survey found that nearly 4 in 10 foreigners had been refused housing because they weren't Japanese. The reason listed by landlords in writing, Gaikokujin okotowari, no foreigners. Japan has no national law against this. The legal department's position is essentially, take it up with somebody who exists. In Hong Kong, around 370,000 Filipino and Indonesian domestic workers are legally required to live in their employer's home, and legally barred from ever applying for permanent residency, no matter how many decades they stay. A South Asian banker who lands in Hong Kong tomorrow can become a citizen in 7 years. The nanny who has been there since 1998 cannot. The HR framework is called Foreign Domestic Helper. The actual framework is called You Can Clean the Floor, but the floor isn't yours. In Japan again, there is a caste called the Burakumin, descendants of medieval workers who handled death, leather, and butchery. There is no visible difference. They are ethnically Japanese. But Japanese companies have been caught buying secret family registry databases in 2009 to screen out Burakumin job applicants. In 2016, the lists keep resurfacing. Up to here, every country involved technically calls this illegal, or at least quietly embarrassing. The next level does not bother with the embarrassment. We reach level 5, and racism now has a seat in Congress. Malaysia has run a system called Bumiputera, Sons of the Soil, since 1971. If you are ethnic Malay, you get preferential university quotas, government contracts, and a discount on buying property, built into the law. If you are ethnic Chinese Malaysian or Indian Malaysian, you don't. Your grandparents were born there. The discount still isn't for you. The official language is affirmative action. The operational language is this family room has a guest section. Indonesia, under Suharto from 1967 to 1998, legally banned the public use of Chinese language, Chinese names, and Chinese New Year. 3 generations of Chinese Indonesians grew up with Javanese names they did not choose. The brand consistency was excellent. And then there is Myanmar. The Rohingya, roughly 1 million Muslims who had lived in Rakhine State for generations, were stripped of citizenship by the 1982 citizenship law. Not deported, just legally vanished. In 2017, the military burned more than 350 of their villages to the ground. The UN called it textbook ethnic cleansing. Myanmar's response was that the Rohingya weren't really from Myanmar in the first place. So the UN pretty much answered, yeah, I forgot that part. Keep burning people alive. Which aren't really the words they used to eventually dismiss it, but it wouldn't be surprising given how useful this organization has proven to be. Most of these policies aren't museum pieces. They're current. They're being enforced this week. Above the policy, there's a level Asians enforce on each other and never name out loud at dinner. Level 6 is the racism we do to ourselves and call tradition. 1950 was the year when the cruel caste system in India was abolished. Yet, the India Human Development Survey found that around 95% of Indian marriages still happen within the same caste. A 2007 study by Sukadeo Thorat and Paul Atwell sent identical resumes to Indian companies with different surnames. Applicants with Dalit-coded names got significantly fewer callbacks than identically qualified applicants with upper caste names. The system was abolished. The system runs. In China, the Uyghurs, a Turkic Muslim minority in Xinjiang, have been put through what the US, Canada, the Netherlands, and the UK Parliament have all formally labeled a genocide. In April 2020, during the first COVID wave, the city of Guangzhou specifically evicted Black African residents from their apartments and barred them from restaurants and McDonald's, while their Chinese neighbors in the same building were left alone. It made international news for about 3 days, after which everyone went back to pretending we were all on the same team. In Japan, the Zainichi Koreans, 3rd and 4th generation Koreans born in Japan who often speak no Korean, are still classified as foreigners on paper. Some take Japanese names just to get an apartment. Their grandparents were brought there as forced laborers, which is a hell of a thank you. This is the level my own family runs at. The WhatsApp group has opinions about which neighborhoods are going downhill and which son-in-law candidates are too dark. And the opinions are delivered with the same emotional register as a grocery list. Remember Hedel, the woman who got Shadi to drop the skin tone filter? Hedel got death threats from her own diaspora for doing it. The filter was level 3. The death threats were level 6. It's the worst one so far. It's also not the top. You think that isn't enough racism? Watch this.
No to racism.
Nee tegen racisme.
Non au racisme.
No al racismo.
No to racism.
Still not enough racism? Then behold, the mighty, the incredible, the unbreakable, level 7. You are probably expecting level 7 to be the most violent level, a specific atrocity I'd been saving for the finale. It's not. Level 7 is this. Almost every system you just watched, Asia learned from somewhere else. The model minority myth in level 2, written in 1966 by a white American sociologist about Japanese Americans to make a point about black Americans. Asia inherited the trophy and never read the inscription. The skin whitening hierarchy in level 2 and 3, the British Raj rated Indian military recruits by skin tone. Bumiputera. In level 5, the categories themselves, indigenous Malay versus Chinese coolie versus Indian laborer, were invented by British colonial administrators who imported the Chinese to work the tin mines and the Indians to work the rubber plantations on purpose. A system that of course did not disappear after the British left. Every ancient ethnic hatred in Asia has a British, Dutch, Spanish, or French cartographer somewhere in the receipts. Asia took the colonial software, debugged it, optimized it, and is now running it at a scale the original authors couldn't have dreamed of. That's level 7. The mirror. You walked in thinking racism in Asia was the part of the world where the West has no opinion. You walked out realizing the West already shipped the product about 200 years ago and the warranty never expired. So take the coronavirus as some kind of retribution. Which level did you get personally annoyed at? If you want the country by country version of this, which Asian nation operates at which level ranked, I made that one already. The Asia discrimination tier list. It's right there at the end of this video. Watch it next or don't, but if you don't, Hedal Lakhani is mildly disappointed in you